All right, let's just jump right in. We've all been there, right? You're a manager, and a huge project just completely misses its deadline. Or maybe your team bombs its quarterly target. It's that sinking feeling in your stomach that every single leader knows and absolutely dreads.
And in that moment, when the pressure's on, most of us have this gut reaction. We immediately ask one simple question. But it turns out that first instinct is, well, it's deeply flawed, and it sends us sprinting down completely the wrong path.
And there it is. Who is to blame? As soon as those words are out, what happens? It kicks off this massive hunt for a guilty party. And instantly, you've got a culture of finger-pointing, of defensiveness. And the worst part? It pretty much guarantees we're going to miss the whole point, the actual opportunity to learn and make sure this doesn't happen again.
But what if we could change all of that? I mean, what if just a tiny little tweak in the words we use could create a massive shift in how we see things? It's not about finding a scapegoat to blame, it's about actually understanding what went wrong.
The fix is to just change the question. Seriously, instead of asking who, we need to start asking what. To be specific, what in the system caused this to happen? That simple switch from who to what, well, it's everything. It yanks our focus off of one person and puts it where it belongs, on the entire environment, the processes, the tools they're working with. We stop looking for a villain and start looking for the real reason.
Now, this idea is really the heart of something called systems thinking, a philosophy made famous by the absolute legend of management, W. Edwards Deming. And his definition of a system is pretty straightforward. It's just a bunch of connected parts all working together to get something done. The key insight here is that you can't just look at one part by itself. Success or failure comes from how all those parts interact with each other. And that leads us to probably the most powerful, game-changing idea from all of Deming's work. It's a simple little ratio that I promise you, once you hear it, you will never look at success or failure in your organization the same way again.
Okay, here it is. Deming figured out that a mind-boggling 94%, 94 of all problems, all failures in any organization come from the system. And guess who's responsible for the system? Management. That leaves a tiny little 6% that can actually be blamed on an individual worker or some other random one-off cause. I mean, just look at this. When you see it visually, it's kind of shocking, right? This massive difference reveals a huge blind spot in the way we usually manage people. Think about it. Traditional performance reviews. We pour almost all of our time and energy into that tiny 6% slice, the person. We spend months analyzing, debating, and stressing over the 6%, while pretty much ignoring the giant 94%, which is the one area where we could actually make a real difference. And this is Deming's most famous quote for a reason. It just nails the whole idea perfectly. You can have the best, most talented, most motivated person on the planet, but if you drop them into a broken system, the system is going to win every single time. But, being stuck in that blind spot, always chasing after that 6%, it's not just a waste of time. It's actively harmful. The fallout from this kind of thinking just ripples through the entire company. For starters, we get praise and blame completely wrong. We end up rewarding people who just got lucky and happen to be in a good system, and we punish people who are struggling inside a bad one. This absolutely crushes the motivation of your best employees, the ones who are really trying. But here's the real killer. It prevents the organization from ever learning anything. By pinning the blame on a person, we let ourselves off the hook. We never have to do the hard work of digging in and fixing the real root cause, which all but guarantees that the very same problems are just going to pop up again and again. Now, this might all sound pretty revolutionary, but the funny thing is, the entire history of how we manage people has actually been this slow, clumsy drift towards Deming's way of thinking. It's like we've been unconsciously stumbling toward this truth for decades without even realizing it. You can actually see it pretty clearly in how management trends have evolved. We started with stuff like forced ranking, which was peak individual blame, literally pitting people against each other. Then we moved to 360-degree feedback, which was a small step, right? It at least admitted that how we interact with our teammates and bosses actually matters. Then came things like management by objectives, which try to connect what a person does to the company's bigger goals, a clear nod to the system. And today, you see modern approaches like OKRs that are all about collaboration and transparency, moving us closer and closer to a real systems-first world.
And make no mistake, this trend is not an accident. It's a direct response to how work gets done today.
Modern methods like Agile are built on systems thinking. You simply cannot run a truly agile team if you're still using some old-school, individual-focused performance review from the 90s. The two are completely incompatible. Seeing things this way isn't just a nice little HR philosophy. It's a critical operational upgrade you have to make to compete.
So what does this all mean for you as a leader? Well, the cool thing about this 94-6 rule is that it's actually incredibly freeing. It means you can stop being the frustrated referee, constantly blowing the whistle and handing out penalties to people. Instead, you get to become an effective architect, someone who designs a system where everyone has a chance to do great work.
The difference between these two mindsets is just night and day. On one side, you have the referee. They're stuck asking, who? Focusing all their energy on that 6%, and the result is a culture of blame and zero progress. On the other side, you have the architect. They're asking what? Focusing on the 94% with the goal of improving the system for everyone. And the result? Real learning and actual growth. As a leader, you get to choose which one of those you want to be.
And you can literally start making this change today, right now. It all starts with the very next question you ask when something doesn't go according to plan. Just stop asking who's to blame and start asking what in our system needs to get better. It's that simple.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Just imagine for a second what could happen if you stopped pouring all your time and energy into that tiny 6% sliver, and instead you redirected all of that focus to the massive 94%. What kind of incredible untapped potential could you finally unlock in your team,